Ladies and gentlemen, 10 rounds of boxing scheduled for the New York State Junior Welterweight title. Introducing first, the challenger. Fighting out of the blue corner, he wears the camouflage trunks. He weighed in at 139.6 pounds. His professional record, 11 victories against 2 defeats. He has 7 wins coming by way of knockout. From Brooklyn, New York, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scott Bang Bang Burrell. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, the champion. He wears black and orange. He weighed in at a ready 139.2 pounds. His professional record, 13 victories against 2 defeats. He has 4 wins coming by way of knockout. From Hicksville, New York, ladies and gentlemen, the reigning, defending New York State Junior Welterweight Champion, Anthony Showtime Karperis. Karperis.
Here we go, 10 rounds of action in the junior welterweight division. I'm Kara Castanova here with Paulie Malignaggi, 2-time world champion and Showtime color commentator. This is Star Boxing Rockin Fights 26 here at the Huntington Paramount. Paulie, do you know anything about Anthony Karperis? What can you tell us about Bang Bang Burrell?
Well, I think both guys, first of all, I think it's a sort of a crossroads fight here between Burrell and Karperis. Both guys are similar points in their careers. Certainly, as you see, Burrell trying to come out throwing a big right hand right off the jump. But both guys are similar points in their careers. Both guys are, they've beaten the usual suspects of kind of opponents up till this point. And this is sort of a place now where they're meeting a guy just like the other, sort of looking in the mirror where one guy is going to move on to the next phase of his career, and the other one's going to kind of get left back. But they're both looking to get to that point, unlike their previous opponents who have been mainly opponents and journeymen and whatnot. See Burrell trying to effectively establish a jab. He lands that 1-2.
I can't help but notice there is a little bit of a size difference. Karperis looks a little bit, he looks smaller than Burrell. Do you think this is a good weight class for him, Paulie?
Well, you know what? He's a little smaller than Burrell. He's going to have to feint his way in and be a little bit more cunning. Especially if he's going to stay on the outside like that. Burrell is trying to pick his spots and use that jab. Right now, you know what it is right now is the first round, so we're going to see how the fight kind of starts to evolve from here as both guys are going to try to set the tempo the way they want to. We see Burrell trying to get in those sharp right hands. He's landed a 1-2 about a minute ago. He tried that one there, came up a little short. Karperis using a bit more movement and trying to find the angles. He lands a sharp jab on that counter there. See, right here, I think it's important for Karperis to use some feints. He's a shorter guy. He's on the outside. It's a check hook by Burrell. But I think if he's going to cut the distance, in order to cut distance without running into punches, he's going to have to be a little bit tricky by using feints or changing looks and whatnot, right, because Burrell's just going to wait for him. Burrell's a taller guy. He can sit back and wait and sharp shoot and counter. Wait on his jab.
Well, hopefully we see that side of Karperis tonight, because I've seen a lot of his fights, and he is a pretty tricky fighter. When he gets in his groove, he does get in it. He moves from side to side. He angles. He's a beautiful boxer, actually, and hopefully we see that tonight. I hope the size difference and the strength of Burrell doesn't make him tentative in his boxing ability.
Well, Burrell's obviously looks like the bigger physical guy, but he's looking to also establish some technique in there. He's been sharp behind the jab here in the first round, or at least not trying to overstay his welcome inside. And again, he's trying that 1-2. So he's, by throwing those straight punches, he's trying to establish his height and not trying to step in too much and give Karperis a chance to work his magic on the inside, so to speak. A sharp uppercut by Burrell, but counter with a sharp left hook by Karperis. And you see Burrell back on that jab. I think it's gonna be something to look for tonight, how Karperis deals with that jab. They say you can jab with a jab or you don't hook with a hooker, so we'll see if Karperis tries to use that jab back towards Burrell or maybe tries to counter over the top of it. Nice body shot by Burrell. See, the thing about Burrell, once you establish that left jab, you can be trickier with the left hand because you're going to get a guy looking and biting on all your left hands, all your left jabs.
Right.
You can bring the left hand from around the side with a hook, or you can come around with some body shots. Good, pretty even first round, but you probably lean towards Burrell there. He was able to establish a little bit more of his style there in round one.
Right. So if you were Karperis' trainer in this corner, what would you be telling him right now?
Don't let him set the pace. I want more jackrabbing. Move around a little, side to side, so he can't set you up. You're seeing anything right hand or left hook coming at you. So just set the pace. You got to pick up your pace a little bit. Like you were sparring again. Angles, throw a couple punches, 3-4 punches, move. 3-4 punches, move. He's just lining you up with the jab. Just don't let him do the jab. The jab's the only thing landing on you. He ain't landing shit otherwise.
Didn't I tell you to feint when you're walking? Stop dropping that. Stop dropping that, all right? And when he go into your right, I need you to stab him. When he go into your right, I need you to stab him. When he's going to your right, you stab him, all right? When he's going to your right, exactly. I just told him, keep that right hand up tight, because he's trying to hook with you, all right? If you're going to hook with him, keep your right hand tight, right? And then bring the left up the middle, okay? Okay. Stay to that body. Every chance you get a chance, every time you get a chance, you invest inside that body, all right? I'll look at it. Yeah, good. You got first, man. Yeah, but I want you to stab. Stab or do it.
Like you said, Karperis, he's the type of guy that he can get in there by being tricky. He doesn't have to run in there just because he's a smaller guy.
You have to have the right balance. See, a little bit too much movement, and all of a sudden you're not putting enough work into getting in there. Putting too much work into getting in there, and maybe you're not using enough movement. So it's got to be the right balance in there, and it's up to Karperis to figure out that right balance for himself.
A lot of parallels between these two guys too, Paulie. Both of them are 28 years old. They're both highly college educated. Both have degrees. They're both very intelligent guys, and I think they both think in there when they're fighting.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a good point. You rarely see boxers a lot of times get the bad rap of not being schooled and whatnot. Both of these guys are actually formally educated. Both have college degrees, and like you said, both same age. I think they're about 2 months apart. So they're coming into their own here in their careers, and this is a big night for both of them. See, Karperis try to come out using a little bit more of that jab. But again, he's got to establish when he's going to be in and when he's going to be out, because if he overstays his welcome, Burrell is more than excited to let go of his left hook and left uppercuts. But Burrell is a pretty educated left hand. He's able to establish the jab, but he also throws a pretty sharp left hook. There's one on the inside, but he throws a check left hook, turns it into an uppercut as well. So I think Karperis got to give him something to think about. He's got to, again, in those feints, be a little tricky. Step in. There's a right hand over the top of the jab. And you want to see some of that as well. You definitely want to see some of the counters over the top of Burrell's jab.
He's a good counter puncher, Karperis is. And Paulie, what's interesting is that the Burrell brothers, one of them is a southpaw, one of them isn't, and they both have the lead right. One has a lead left, that's great. The other one has a lead right. Do you think that they're both naturally right with different hands, or?
It's possible. It's possible. I think having seen Scott's brother Dean earlier tonight, he came and had a sharp victory, a big KO victory for him. So I think they're trying to make it 2 for 2 here. But both have similar styles, despite the opposite stance that they fight in. Both have a good trainer in Don Thaxby. See Burrell right from there. Once Burrell gets planted, he's shooting that jab. He's sharp shooting that jab. I think once Burrell gets planted is when Karperis has to take advantage and maybe take one or two steps to the left or right. Right there, he just did it. And then he was able to attack, because once Burrell gives you the illusion of an athletic guy, but once he plants his feet, he takes him a second to kind of pick up his feet again. So that's when Karperis has to make sure he makes his move. There's a sharp hook there by Karperis off of the uppercut by Burrell. See right here, both guys are in movement right here. You want to make Burrell plant, and then from there is when you step around. There's a nice little sharp uppercut by Karperis. Karperis being a little bit trickier here this round, and Burrell still trying to stick behind the jab.
Yeah, it's the style of the fight, I think, who's going to be better at their style. If Karperis can really get into that tricky mode that he gets into, that I've seen him in, that I love, then he could win the fight. And if he can't, and Burrell just kind of, uses his jab, uses this distance, and keeps him off him, then he's probably going to win the fight. I think it could go either way. It's just such a really nicely matched style fight, I think.
Yeah, right now, nobody's taken the advantage in the fight so far. I think Karperis has had himself a bit better of a round here in round 2. He's been able to punch inside of Burrell. It's like it's giving him the advantage in round 2. I've got this fight even after 2 rounds.
All right, that's better, man. That movement. Now you're starting to land the overhand, the left hook. You won one round. You won that round. So you won 1. All right? Same thing. Just get that hop in your step. Get off your back heel. You started the round that way, then you started to go. Feel good? All right. All right, hold on a second. Same thing, movement. And throw something hard upstairs. You're landing when you throw it. Just commit to it, you know what I mean? Throw your head over, really throw it hard. Just breathe, no rush. Same thing, I'm gonna keep yelling movement. Just move, you're setting the timing. He's not able to, you know what I mean, zone in on you now with the jab.
Start tripling that jab. Give me jab, hook, man. All right, jab, hook, jab, okay? Start giving me that. Listen, didn't I tell you to stab him if he's going to your right? If he's going this way, which is his left is your right, I want you to stab him. With my right hand? No, stab, baby, all right? How you feel? All right. Want another sip? Move your head as you walking them down. Not bad, you got that round. You got both rounds after you. Right? Just you picked it up that last round. Start picking it up a little more.
And both guys still believe they can win this fight.
Right. Definitely both guys believe they could still win this fight. I believe either guy could win this fight right now.
One thing we've noticed is Burrell has come out each round and he's kind of started to try to establish a jab, but he's also trying to establish his physicality by coming forward. And it's been Karperis on the back foot. There's a sharp one too by Burrell. One thing about Burrell though, if he's gonna establish a physical presence and try to walk Karperis down, he should be cutting off the ring. You see Karperis doesn't move a lot. He's gonna take the 2 steps here and 2 steps there, which I think is smart. I don't think he should go into flight, but I think Burrell needs to obviously cut the ring off and prevent Karperis from turning the corner so that he can move freely where he wants to move. Karperis there being smart. He came up short with that uppercut, but instead of kind of laying around in no man's land after missing, he stepped in and smothered the shot.
Right, nice overhand.
Big overhand right by Karperis. That was a nice shot as Burrell tried to counter it with the uppercut. He's got to be careful with that attempted counter uppercut. Karperis not the biggest puncher, but those shots do get your attention, and they can score points. There's Karperis again, off the movement, striking first.
I think too, when it comes as a counter, you know, it has that extra sting to it. You know, I don't think that Burrell necessarily sees those punches, those counters coming, obviously, the counter punches.
Of course. And it's up to Burrell to also use his feints. You know, we talked about how Karperis should be feinting his way inside, but as Karperis starts to get the timing on some of Burrell's jabs, you know, maybe it's important for him to start feinting as well. As Burrell's throwing some harder shots, he's got some mean intentions on those shots. He's coming up short and he's missing. Karperis has a chance to be real sneaky here and try to pot shot and counter in between them. As maybe a little bit of frustration on the part of Burrell as he's starting to load up a little too much, in my opinion.
Well, they call him Bang Bang Burrell, so I guess he has to live up to that name.
And his brother did have the big knockout earlier, so, you know, maybe he wants to, you know, he wants to kind of...
It's a lot of pressure when you have a name like Bang Bang. Your brother just knocked someone out. You're thinking you got to knock a guy out.
And there's the uppercut he's been looking for. He looked for it earlier in the round. He got caught with an overhand right, but that time, a nice little sharp, short uppercut. And Karperis should start looking for it because now Burrell has shown that right uppercut a couple times. He's paid the price for it once. He's landed it sharply another time. I think Karperis can start looking for a counter left hook there, or at least try to time his left hook. There it is. There it was right there, just as I said it. You can throw one thing about a guy continuing throwing a right uppercut, you can use your left hook if you're an orthodox fighter. Karperis used that left hook there, but let's see how the rest of the round progresses.
Very intelligently fought fight, I think.
Well, both guys are starting to think as both guys are starting to get the timing of each other as the rounds progress. See Burrell getting a little bit confident here. He's trying to lure Karperis in right now. He got his hands down, and people are going to say, oh, why is Burrell got his hands down? Well, he's trying to lure Karperis into lunging, reaching for something, and then set him up for a counter. Didn't work there.
Good defense, too, by Karperis. I mean, it's pretty impressive. He moves out of the way. He's not in there to get hit, and I think that his movement is really...
I think Burrell's had himself a pretty good second half of this round. Close round, nonetheless.
So you give that one to Burrell, Paulie?
I'm going to give that one close to Burrell, but honestly, if you give it to Karperis, it's not the end of the world.
I think it was a Karperis round, to be honest with you.
All right, take a breath. Same thing. Movement, get a little more busy. The round was close. I don't want to call it. I think you won it. Hold on, Don. Same thing. Movement. Don't sit still. As soon as you start to move, he gets confused. Then throw. Start to throw with more authority upstairs now. You landed a real good hook. I think if you start landing the right hand up, it's going to set the hook up like I told you. All right? You want more water or you're good? All right, breathe.
I want him to go for my body because I can take his body.
When he backs up on the ropes, throw it though. If he's going to lean on the ropes, just take the points.
See what I'm saying about
Neither guy has yet to be convinced that he can't win the fight. Both guys are still very much believe in themselves and the way they're fighting and their body language shows here. as we get to start the fourth round.
You bring an interesting perspective because you're a fighter. When you say that, like no one really thinks, okay, both guys still think they could win the fight because a lot of people watching don't realize there is a time when people mentally give up. A fighter gives up.
Yeah.
And he goes into survival mode.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the winning mentality sometimes gets beaten out of you, and you know, the younger you are, obviously, the more difficult it is to beat that winning mentality out of you. And of course, fighters on the come up should have more of that winning mentality.
Right.
I think both guys realize how important this fight is coming in. And
Did you ever have that feeling when you felt like, okay, I'm not
feel
going
like
to
you're
win this
outgunned?
fight? And like,
I think the first time I started feeling that was in my fight with Amir Khan. And people are going to say, oh, you know, you were way behind in the Ricky Hatton fight. I don't know. Maybe I was just a little ignorant or too early in my career in the Ricky Hatton fight. But I think in the Amir Khan fight, there was a point in the fight where I started realizing, you know what, I don't think I'm going to get this fight tonight, you know. So, you know, there is...
So how does that feel?
It's very frustrating. You know, you're looking for an answer. You know, obviously you don't want to quit, so you stick it out looking for an answer, hoping that you find the answer. But a lot of times you kind of understand in your mind that you're not going to find the answer tonight. But having said that, neither of these guys is feeling that right now. And you wait for the moment where maybe both guys, you know, or one guy starts to take control and the other guy starts to kind of believe in the fact that the other guy's taking control. But right now, both guys look very relaxed, very confident in their body language, and both guys are still trying to do what they want. Nice little sharp
nice
uppercut
exchange
by Karperis on the inside. And Burrell still looking for that counter right hand. There he goes with the counter over the top right hand. Oh, and there's the over the top by Karperis. Good exchange by both guys here, midway through the fourth round.
Karperis, he comes from a mixed martial arts background, karate, and you can kind of see it in his movement. He has that way he creeps around the ring a little bit. It's reminiscent a little bit of karate. He used to be a karate champion. He's done
black belt, former black belt.
Right, jiu-jitsu, a whole bunch of other things. So he's very athletic.
Burrell coming up a little short with that left hook as he keeps on the uppercut. Karperis has to start countering though. You see he's doing a good job making Burrell mix, but at a certain point you got to start making him pay with some counters. He has here and there, but if you can start being a little more consistent with the counters, you're going to convince Burrell that maybe he shouldn't be throwing the shots. There's a nice lead combination by Karperis. And you're going to say, okay, some of that was blocked. Yes, it was blocked, but it instills the work ethic in him, in his body language. It looks good. And obviously, it shows Burrell that he's still live. Karperis being real crafty this round. He's had Burrell missing plenty. There's a nice right hand by him. I think that got his attention. I think that shot, I think that over the top right hand got Burrell's attention. Let's see.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow, Paulie. This is...
Burrell's got a hold here. Burrell's got a hold.
Yes, he does hold. I wish I could tell
Karperis kind of smothering himself.
Paulie. Wow. Oh,
really?
My God, Paulie.
Big
this
round.
Is not what I expected.
He's out.
Oh my God!
And there's a big stoppage.
That is beautiful.
Big stoppage by Anthony Karperis.
We did not see that coming, Paulie. I kind of wanted that fight to go on because it was a good fight.
And Burrell is going to hate himself for not holding. I'll tell you why.
He's going to hate himself.
I'll tell you why. The 10-second tap had been run. So there was less than 10 seconds left in the round. If Burrell holds, he gets out of this fight. He had been clearly hurt by Karperis over the top with the right hand. Good stoppage by referee Pat Sullivan. You know, he had no other choice. Burrell was in no man's land. And you hate to see that when a guy was almost escaping the round. But Burrell only has himself to blame there, not because he got caught, because that happens. That can happen.
Right, of course.
He's got himself to blame because he didn't hold. Because if he just holds once.
And holding, there's nothing wrong with holding.
If he just holds once, if he causes just a single clinch, he probably escapes the round, gets a chance to be rejuvenated in his corner, and he can come back the next round. Great finish by Anthony Karperis, but Burrell helped him along. Now he's complaining. Burrell is complaining that he got stopped, but when he sees the video, he's going to understand what happened.
Yeah.
He was out on his feet.
That was Paulie, I wanted the fight to go on. I thought it was going to be,
and hey, I was wrong, right? You asked me if this fight's going to end, and I said...
I didn't want to say what I thought. I saw that coming. I'm not saying that now because it's after the fact, but I kind of know Karperis stuff. He's a sneaky little boxer, I'm telling you. He has this way about him.
Let's see, he'll take back Tom Giamatti with the results.
The official time of the stoppage, 2 minutes and 58 seconds of round number